I just tell the truth, and telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies. If you mix brilliance with bravery, that we can ignite something. Even this conversation alone can ignite the people.
The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.
Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Kelly. We are back with another video. If you're new to the channel and you are into true crime stories, news, and politics, we get into all of that plus more. So hit that subscribe button, guys, and join me on the channel. I would very much love for you to do that. And if you are a returning listener or subscriber, thank you as always for being a friend. And please interact with the video, guys. Like it if you like it. Give me a comment. Let me know what you think about what we're talking about. And yeah, just make sure you're subscribed as always. I would very much appreciate it. And I think each and every one of you who is watching this video right now. So we're going to get into this new development, guys, in the Alex Murdaugh case. So I would love to know your thoughts on this, guys. I definitely have my own, so I'll be sharing those with you guys as well. So without further ado, let's get into this.
Today, Jim Griffin and I filed a petition based on newly discovered evidence with the South Carolina Court of Appeals to stay Alex Murdaugh's appeal while a hearing is held on a motion for a new trial. Concurrently, we've sent a request to the South Carolina U.S. Attorney to open a federal investigation into the violation of Alex Murdaugh's civil rights. The allegations in the petition filed today speak for themselves, but we believe they explain a number of peculiarities in the 6-week trial. We request that SWED stand down on initiating any investigation of these allegations, since they are heavily invested in maintaining Alex's convictions. We suggest they wait for the Court of Appeals to rule and receive direction from the trial court. If the Court of Appeals remands the case for an evidentiary hearing, if the Court of Appeals remands the case for an evidentiary hearing, we would also request that those in the media and the public respect the privacy of those included in this filing. Alex Murdaugh maintained and still maintains his innocence in the murder of Maggie and Paul and believes the truth will ultimately prevail. Jim?
The right to a jury trial is a fundamental principle of our justice system. Jurors must be free from outside influences and must decide the case solely on the evidence presented in the courtroom, subject to the rules of evidence, subject to the rules of the court, and, most importantly, subject to the crucible of cross-examination that's guaranteed by the Sixth Amendment to the Constitution, and that is the right to confront witnesses. When jurors receive private communications outside the confines of a public courtroom, the Sixth Amendment is violated and numerous other constitutional rights are violated. And that's not Jim Griffin on the law, that is the law land. And I want to quote from a decision from the South Carolina Court of Appeals, which is behind me, and states this: where there is a private communication of a court official to members of the jury, an occurrence which cannot be tolerated if the sanctity of the jury system is to be maintained, a new trial must be granted unless it clearly appears that the subject matter of the communication was harmless and could not have affected the verdict.
Right now is that this clerk did some extremely and extraordinarily bad things that in my mind could very well necessitate a reversal of the conviction. And not only did they in their moving papers write these things, they brought some receipts with regard to affidavits from some of the jurors. So I mean, if these things pan out to be true in a factual hearing, this prosecution's conviction is in jeopardy. Joining me to discuss the news is criminal defense attorney Chris Adams, along with law and crime correspondents Anjanette Levy and Gigi McKelvey. Thank you guys for joining me. I'll start with you. Okay, I'll start with you, Anjanette. What can you tell us about this incredible motion, and were you struck as I was that they actually have affidavits from jurors here?
Hi, Bob. This is the motion. I've been trying to get through the entire.
So basically, what is being alleged here? What happened was, apparently, the Clerk of Court, who was the person, if you're not familiar with the trial court, you know, everybody's roles and all the different goings on that happen. She is the person that sits there right in the center of the courtroom, basically has the same view as the judge, you know, like she gets to look out into the court, look at the jury, look at the defendant, look at the state, and she is the one that swears all of the witnesses in to give their testimony. Well, this is an elected position, apparently, in South Carolina, and it might be everywhere, but I know in South Carolina it's an elected position. And so she has a duty, as do all court employees, attorneys, staff members, bailiffs, clerk employees and staff, and of course all of the officers of the court. So the judge, the clerk of court, you know, everybody that works there. has a duty, and it is a very important duty, that they agree to basically uphold very high standards as far as morality and ethics go, and their conduct when it comes to participating in these trials. Okay, so she basically violated every single one of these by injecting herself into the jurors that were present for this case and were hearing the evidence. And she basically got into the ears of some of these people to influence the jury pool and to influence the outcome of their decision, which is a huge no-no. Okay, huge. It's like, it's the worst thing you could probably do. I mean, it's you're putting at risk the entire impartiality of the jury, which they're supposed to have absolutely no outside influence whatsoever, and they're supposed to be able to come to their decision based on the facts and the facts alone. They're not even supposed to talk about it with their family members. So imagine an officer of the court going to different members of this jury and stating her opinion on the case. It's being alleged that she wasn't allowing smoke breaks for individuals until they came to a decision, which is also a big no-no. I mean, those people are not prisoners. They should be allowed to go smoke, and they had been allowed to go smoke up until that point. And she told them to disregard certain testimony. This is all being alleged, and this is all per sworn testimony by some of the jury members in this case that sat through this evidence and heard everything and felt that there was undue pressure coming from this clerk of court. And they didn't want to speak up until recently because I guess, it's a huge deal, and people don't want to admit that they allowed themselves to, I guess, be swayed or tainted in any way, because I mean, if you're in the legal system, then you know the way that these proceedings are upheld as, very to a very high standard and looked at in regards to other systems of justice around the world. Ours is the best, and we try to maintain it in a way that will not allow for people to come in, taint these jury pools, and not be able to get full justice and full accountability according to the standards of the law. And so she basically just took a shit on that because of her own personal reasons, personal gain, whatever the case may be. But that's what they're trying to explain here.
Entire thing, it's 65 pages. It includes statements by the defense, also includes affidavits and some really startling claims. I am not that surprised, though, I will tell you that, because we saw a lot during that trial. It went for 6 weeks. We heard some things during the trial that could corroborate some of this. And when I say I heard, we were there. We were talking to everybody. It's a small town. People talk. And so I am not that surprised. I'm certainly not surprised that the defense interviewed these jurors, especially the one we called Egg Lady, who was removed from the jury at the very last minute, because we knew that the defense was really unhappy with that decision. They liked Egg Lady, and I had actually heard something about this also whenever this case was in trial. I personally have held this belief since I started actually following and looking into this particular case. I have been sticking to my belief that the prosecution did not prove their case. That is my opinion. And I think there were, at the time, a bunch of pundits who were sitting in the courtroom watching this play out, and people were expressing their skepticism on whether or not there would be a conviction in this case, because they were watching the jury members and they were saying that, and this, Anjanette was one of the people that I watched during this time who was saying that she was seeing jurors tear up as Alex was giving his testimony, his witness statements and things like that. So people were having sympathy for him. And as it turns out, one of those jurors was actually removed at the very last minute from the jury pool, and this was a scheme, apparently, by this clerk of court who made it her business to make sure that the jury came to the conclusion that she had come to, which is totally inappropriate and out of line. And so that also came out in the motion that Alex's attorneys filed, was that
she improperly made this story up about the woman's ex-husband posting on Facebook about the case, basically alleging that one of the juror members had been speaking to close family members about the trial, which is also a no-no for jurors. But it turns out, according to this motion that they filed, not to be true. So just all kinds of shenanigans going on. This woman would later go on to write a book that she's now profiting off of. And if this all turns out to be true, this woman's going to be in legal trouble, to say the least. And, I mean, she's going to piss off a lot of people. I mean, the state, for one, spent a lot of money on this trial. A lot of people wasted a lot of time, money, and energy on this trial for it to just be completely thrown out because of her actions, her inappropriate, emotional woman behavior, okay? Absolutely ridiculous. If all of this is what they're alleging turned out to be true, she should be ashamed of herself. I mean, honestly, where do you get off? Where do you get off trying to put your thumb on the scale of justice? I mean, I just don't understand. It's the audacity for me. It is really just the fact that people think that they can impose their own personal beliefs. You know, damn whatever system that is in place, and damn whatever, you know, anyone else's opinion is. As long as your will and your train of thought is executed, and it doesn't matter how it gets done, it's just gonna be forced down everyone's throat by any means necessary. I mean, just an absolute joke, you know. Murderers still have their constitutional rights. If you are a citizen of this country, you still have the right to a fair trial, okay? That just is what it is. People can not like it all they want. They can think that he's guilty of sin. And I don't know whether or not he did or didn't do it. All my position is, and was at the time, was that I don't think the prosecution proved that he, with 2 rifles, shot and killed both of his wife and his son. Okay, I think that maybe he could have been involved. Maybe he could have been forced to watch this take place. I just don't know. They didn't piece it together well enough. They did not have enough evidence to string together what it was they were trying to say happened. And I mean, I would be one of those juror members who would be on the fence, or who would be, you know, saying that this is not beyond a reasonable doubt. I had doubts. I still do. I just don't know. I mean, he looks guilty as all sin. He seems like he could have seriously been involved. I mean, I just don't see what the motive was, really. I mean, his family already knew he was a hot-ass disaster. So I just don't know. I don't know. But all I'm saying is that, like, for her to go and do this now, after they got a conviction, and, you know, people are thinking that they won, the judge has gone and given interviews now. She's given interviews, which we're going to watch in a second, but it's like, it's just now a complete hot mess, more so than it already was. And for them to have to go through this all over again, ooh, it's going to be a shit show from hell if he ends up getting acquitted in a second trial, which is very possible in my opinion. So
thought she was on their side, and that whole thing was very peculiar when it came up. So in this motion, the defense is asserting that Becky Hill, somebody that we dealt with a lot during the trial, that she made up this claim that there was a Facebook post claiming that Egg Lady had said some things about the case.
She looks like the type to want to speak to a manager.
Egg Lady is now saying that that never happened, that Becky Hill made it up. So there's a lot in here. And if this is true, a new trial could possibly be ordered and may very well be ordered.
It should be.
Yeah, and on the Facebook piece, I'm sorry to go on with this, on the Facebook piece that Anjanette just talked about, the judge had indicated when the court clerk, the same court clerk got involved in investigating that he had wished she had come to him as opposed to trying to handle it on her own. I mean, that's one thing. But if these statements are true at all, that she was in some way, shape, or form, wink, nod, verbal or otherwise, telling jurors her viewpoint as to how they should rule, I can't see, in the interest of justice, how this is not only get vacated, this conviction ASAP, but that this court clerk, if true, would not be charged with a crime.
How embarrassing.
We try to extend the benefit of the break for the stupidity of human beings, okay, all the time. But this is a court clerk that is trained and sworn to ensure that the jury is fair and impartial, and that no one intercedes in the deliberative process. And if that happens, they're to immediately report it to a judge. That's their oath. In this moving papers, in the affidavit, we got piles of papers all over here. Again, I thought it was a big nothing burger until I read this, and my jaw hit the ground. Not only was she basically telegraphing to them not to believe Murdaugh, that it's all a trick, the defense is doing a trick, watch him on the stand, there's evidence you don't know about, these are some of the allegations that are in here, but in paragraph 11 of the moving papers of the defendant, it said, Ms. Hill, the clerk, then asked about the views of the rest of the jury. She told me, if this is a juror saying this, if the foreperson would just go in and ask for a raise of hands, that it would be done and over with. She said everyone needs to be on the same page. She then again said she would reinstate a restraining order, and we go on about that. So not only is she giving her viewpoint about the guilt of the defendant, she's actually telling them how to go about it in the deliberative process in order to get there sooner than later. And let's not forget, Anjanette, and maybe you could talk on this, the allegation here is that she didn't want a hung jury. That's why she was trying to figure it out, because she had a book deal and wanted to do speaking engagements. Wow, Anjanette.
And that is outrageous. If this is all turned out to be true, I mean, this is... get ready for some pearl clutching, because I've got mine ready to go. And I mean, it's disgraceful, truly. So she does deserve to be arrested and charged. And I think that if it's true, he deserves a new trial. I mean, she violated his rights. I mean, it's as simple as that. You don't have to like it, but let it happen to you, and you'll be singing a different tune. So I don't know. We've already let so many things go in this country. It's like, can we hold on to some semblance of like a justice system, or some sort of justice, some semblance of justice? It's like absolutely ridiculous. What was she even thinking? I do not understand how anyone in her position would make a choice and a decision like this, knowing. And then the jurors, it's kind of fucked up and on their part as well, because they should have said something at trial to the judge at the time that this was going on. I don't understand why there was a cloak of silence on this whenever they were going through this, and why not let the judge know, hey, we're being pressured on the sidelines over here. And I just don't see how you can sit back and allow this to go on if you're in the jury pool, and if you think that he's innocent, or if you just think that there's probable cause. How does your conscience allow you to just be, rolled over and made to vote a different way than what your conscience is telling you? I mean, you're unfit to serve on a jury ever again. I don't know. It's just, that's why it's like our jury system truly is broken because of shit like this, corrupt people, and just weak-minded individuals who every single day allow themselves to be washed over with propaganda and utter bullshit and just swallow it and take it and don't say anything about it. So it's like, it's scary in a lot of ways, because things like this I feel like happen every day. That's why it's a double-edged sword, like I really don't have so much faith in our jury system, but at the same time it's like, it's better than a one single judge deciding your fate, especially if it's something like this where there's no actual, smoking gun proof. It's just your case against their case. So let's see what his lawyers had to say, and then we'll watch a little bit of her interview that she was doing on multiple different networks after this was all said and done, trying to promote her book.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that would happen if we get, guys in one room, gals in another room. I don't know if that was appropriate. Men in one room, females in another room, and so the comments that we've gotten on the sworn affidavits come from the ladies' room, if you will, more so than the men's room. But we do have information that we've submitted from one juror where he does acknowledge that she talked to him about evidence, about autopsy photos, and don't be upset about them. I mean, that should not be happening. That should not be happening. And this juror is a smoker, and he relayed to us basically the coercive effect of people who have a nicotine habit not able to smoke
until they reach a verdict.
And so that's what we got.
Wait a second. Yeah. Do what now?
You know what bugs me about these press conferences, and you see this all the time. I mean, but this is just can we give these people that are asking the questions a microphone? Can we get a boom mic over the crowd? Like, I mean, I get that the people that you want to hear are the people giving the answers, but a lot of times it's hard to decipher what the fuck the context is, especially if you can't hear the question being asked. I'll never understand why we haven't grasped that concept yet as a society and just decided to, hey, while we're having press conferences and reporters are asking questions, let's make sure we can hear what the damn question is. I mean, it's just, hello? Okay, this part was funny because he's about to shade the fuck out of this woman, and I'm here for it.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Go ahead.
so we didn't stop investigating, but we were hitting brick walls until her book came out, and then jurors who obviously were not comfortable with how she handled matters were even less comfortable with her going on a book tour and making money off what she did.
Well, they should have said something.
That's what was reported to us.
Now, she has said her book is self-published. That really doesn't sound like somebody who's getting a lot of money. What do you say to that? Somebody said, well, she's self-published.
Well, she's trying to make a lot of money. That's the point. I mean, she's trying to make money off of it. She's selling the book. I mean, the question is, was it a successful scheme? I don't know. I mean, if you've read it, I'm not going to give a book review here, but I don't know you buy the book. I mean, it's not well written.
Oh my God.
The story that she tells is not accurate.
Hello.
In our opinion, at least the facts as we saw them.
What do you think about the passage of her book that describes going to Moselle with the juror?
Well, you know, the problem I have with what she says in there is, after going to Moselle, we, if you notice, she used the plural we, felt such and such and such and such. Is that the jurors and her? I mean, I think that's great cross-examination for her when she testifies in this matter before the trial judge, if the Court of Appeal sends it back.
Do you want any hearing in this matter to be public?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Want all y'all there. We miss you.
Go to hell.
Any other questions?
Yeah, you said something about that.
And do y'all think that they would put Alex back on the stand if they do get a second trial? I'm going to go ahead and say probably not, but at the same time, what I was hearing when this was all going on was that some jurors were actually emotional whenever he testified, but you kind of have to read the jury, I feel like, if they were to get a second trial and see whether or not, based on their interactions with the jury, do they have a sympathetic juror, at least one or two or however many, and if they did have a sympathetic juror, then it might be better to put him on the stand, but just coach him a little better. Now, if they feel like the jury's not really with them at all, probably they wouldn't put him on the stand. So it's just kind of like a touch and go situation. It's very much hard to read before you're actually in that situation. But what do you guys think? Do y'all think they would present their case in a different way? Let me know in the comments.
Becky, welcome to Augusta. Good to have you here in the studio with us this morning.
Thank you.
You've just released this book, Behind the Doors of Justice. Why did you write it?
Why?
How could I not? This was the trial of the century.
Yes, it was.
And it was something that has never been in our parts of town before.
As you were sitting there day after day, were you thinking about this would make an amazing story? I should write a book.
I was.
Wow.
You just can't make this stuff up. And you wouldn't want to, because it was very tragic.
Now, as clerk of court, let's get into that. You've known Alec Murdaugh and his family for years, but on the other side of the law, what was it like to have him just feet away from you facing these serious murder charges?
Because we all have to remember that, like, Alex Murdaugh, for the longest time, was a prosecutor and a lawyer within that county. So he has dealt with not only the judge, this one, probably all of the court employees, all of the court officers, and everybody really there for years. He had probably just recently dealt with these people in his official capacity as a lawyer. So it's a bizarre thing to then be on the other side of the desk having to defend yourself. And so this woman, she did have personal relationships in regards to this case. She did have a vested interest, which that's why I'll never understand why they did not move this case out of this jurisdiction. Like, it made no sense based on his high profile status and just who he was before being accused of these things. It made absolutely no sense to go ahead and try him in the very same courthouse where his grandfather's picture hung in the back of the courthouse, which had to be then removed due to, fear of impropriety. So the whole thing, it seemed like, was doomed from the beginning. and they really did it to themselves.
Heartbreaking, hard to believe, totally out of my,
Girl,
my
what is that necklace?
comfort zone.
Yeah. Was it awkward for you at
It was
all?
very awkward, yes. He still greeted me every morning, though. Good morning, Miss Becky.
Is that right?
Every morning.
And did you guys exchange glances during the trial when certain things came up? I mean, he was sitting right there.
We did.
That must have felt different for you, because did you feel like you were a Murdaugh person? I mean, that courthouse has frame pictures of his grandfather hanging inside.
It does. It was so different.
Yeah.
So different.
Now, you got to see him up close. Did you ever get the sense that he thought he might beat this and get off?
Absolutely.
Tell me about that.
I think he believes that he's innocent, that he
And you
has
made
not done
sure that wasn't
anything
gonna happen, didn't you?
contrary to the law, and that he really shouldn't
Allegedly.
be on trial, that he shouldn't be convicted, and
Do you think he was in denial about killing his wife and son? You say he believed it himself, that he might be innocent, or was it a show?
I think all of that. I think a denial was there. I think that he didn't want it to be him, so he...
How could someone be in utter denial about killing two of their immediate family members? Like, that's not denial. That's just lying. Either he's lying and he made up a story and he's sticking to it, or he's innocent. I mean, there's no, like, doing the murder of your wife and your son and then convincing yourself, nope, I didn't do it. Especially, like, the way that which they were killed was so intimate and it was so graphic and gruesome. I don't think you could then put yourself in denial about those facts. I think that's pretty embedded in his brain if he did it. So the premise of that whole question is just kind of silly.
He convinced himself that he was not the one who did it.
I don't think that's possible.
You talk in part in your book about visiting the crime scene. You visited Moselle with the jury.
I did.
Take me through that day. What was it like over there?
Oh, that was a day that I'll never forget.
I bet not.
Going onto that property and just
Bet
the
you loved
beautifulness
that
of it
day.
first.
Oh,
It was
girl,
just
get
vast,
out.
and you could just see at one point that it had been taken care of. It was such a good place to come to. It had everything you can imagine to be on that property. But on that property, on that day, there was a heaviness. The clouds had rolled in. The air had picked up. The wind was moving in the wind.
Is this about...
We walked to where
What was
Maggie
that?
had lain.
Well, I'm sorry, what was that? The wind was moving in the wind? Is this an excerpt from your book? Wait, what did you say, ma'am?
But on that property, on that day, there was a heaviness. The clouds had rolled in. The air had picked up. The wind was moving in the wind.
The wind was
We
moving in
walked
the wind, guys.
to where Maggie had lain and to where Paul...
Guys, the wind was moving in the wind. No wonder his lawyer said that it wasn't a very good book. I mean, you got away with words, ma'am. I don't know what way it's going. It's going kind of left, but it is a way.
Paul had lain in death, and you could see where Maggie, as a mom, was facing, going towards her son, not
Why
away.
did she go with them
as we had
anyways?
initially thought during the trial.
What, we thought she was running away from
That's what
something?
we thought.
She was found
We?
facing...
That's what we
towards
thought?
her son, right? And it wasn't
That's
that
what
far.
we thought. Aren't you supposed to be an unbiased member of these proceedings? Aren't you supposed to be just like an observer, an outsider, like a just somebody who is strictly there to facilitate the transport of the jurors to that site, allow them to view whatever it is they want to view, hold discussion amongst themselves? You know, I heard that she was like going off with the foreperson. She was having little side conversations with certain jury members, giving her take on everything. She multiple times has referred to this little outing, including herself, saying we thought this. We thought, like, there's no we. Like, you're not supposed to have a thought about it. As an impartial member of the court system, you're supposed to remain impartial. I mean, it's kind of wild to me. And even now, you should, I mean, like, the way to phrase that would have been like, you know, I thought, not we. You're not a part of the jury. Like, you can have your opinion now that the case is over and state that here in the interview, but just the way that she's, like, wording it just makes it seem like she wanted to be in that jury pool. Like, she wanted in, and she wedged herself in there.
Far away, probably from me to you.
Tell me what else you remember about that day and what the jurors thought about that day.
Oh, everyone, just by speaking with our eyes, because we did have an order from the judge not to speak verbally.
Speaking with
a
our
whole lot.
eyes?
And so the jurors
Hello?
were each walking out their own thoughts in their mind and the things that they had heard during the trial, and
is going on here?
measurements that were given to them. We didn't have a yardstick and we didn't have a measuring tape.
This was not about scientific evidence.
It was
It was
not.
something you felt inside when you were there.
Absolutely.
Oh, guys. Okay, so yeah. It was a feeling, you know, the wind was blowing in the wind, guys. So I don't know if y'all heard that, but that's an important piece of this. So when the wind started blowing in the wind, there was a feeling that everyone was able to like smell in said wind, and then it just kind of got deep into the heart and it permeated there, and then everyone could just feel he was guilty. It's, forget the facts, forget the science, and all that silly stuff. That doesn't matter. I mean, the wind was blowing in the wind. Hello. We had a feeling, okay? I'm not going to go with science. That's boring. Yawn. Let's go with what I feel inside.
You mentioned the judge a moment ago. Was he present as well?
Judge Newman was there.
Judge Newman was there.
Yes.
Judge Newman has gotten amazing remarks following the way he handled this trial. What did you think about how Judge Newman handled this trial at such a high-profile level, landing in a small-town courthouse?
The Honorable Judge Newman is the king. He
Oh
had
my
such
God.
finesse
Not a black
and
king.
just such loyalty and honorableness.
Unlike you.
to
Unlike
the whole
you.
thing, to the whole process.
So he was out there at Mizell that day.
He was there that day.
What was his role? What was he doing? Just observing?
He was
the
also
jury?
observing as well, and he was also lost in thought, pondering, walking. It was very telling for him as well.
He was taking it all in
He was.
as well.
He was.
Okay, so this was a visit that I believe you're right, that the defense actually came up with. Murdaugh's team came up with this visit.
Yes.
But it really flipped the whole trial
Yes.
in the prosecution's favor.
Yes, the defense requested this to be
Right.
done, and thinking it would help them on their side, it actually did the other.
And jurors came away thinking what?
That Alec Murdaugh was indeed guilty.
You think that's the day the trial turned?
I do. I think it sealed the deal.
Let's talk about the defense team. You say they actually brought this on themselves and made the tour happen. Was there ever any recovery after that? Was there ever any momentum for Alec Murdaugh to walk out of that courtroom after that day at Mizell?
Oh no. Oh no.
You think it was a done deal?
It was.
So, right from her very own lips, guys, what do y'all think about that, that little interview she gave? There's plenty out there that you can go back and watch her giving her opinion. You can also go read the book. I won't be doing that, but if you guys want to, there it is. Listen, I don't know. I'm not going to say either way, like I said, and I, from the beginning, thought that this was, in a way, a miscarriage of justice. And that's not to say that, like, I think he's innocent, because I don't. I just think that, like, we have to, like, there's a burden of proof, and there is supposed to be, like, a very high bar for the prosecution and the state to have to cross and get over in order to convict someone on capital charges of double homicide of their immediate family members, those closest to them. And I just don't think that they dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's and, like, legitimately got over that bar. I just don't. I never did. And if this turns out to be true, this is a shit show and a shamble and a shame, all wrapped up in one, and it's just a disgrace. Honestly, it's a stain on that county. It's a stain on this woman's reputation. She looks like an older lady. I mean, just like now you're utterly disgraced in your career and your accountability and your any sort of respect that you might have carried within that profession and within that town is should be wiped away, and you should be publicly shamed for this, because when people get caught taking advantage of the system or putting their thumb on the scale of justice in any way, we should hold them up. We should have a higher standard in this country, at least, whenever we can, because there's already all kinds of two-tiered justice system, banana republic bullshit going on anyways. So if we can catch it and hold people responsible, we have to do that and do it to the fullest extent, because then maybe it might deter some people from acting like complete and utter self-interested, narcissistic pieces of shit who only care about what they want and not care about the right thing to do. But I want to know what you guys think the right thing to do is. I would love to hear your opinions on this. Do y'all believe these allegations that were set forth in this motion? I mean, these are sworn affidavits. These people are going to have to testify and back up what they said in a court of law. She's going to have to answer to this. They're going to have to answer to this. And, a reckoning is going to come. Okay, the wind will be blowing in the wind, guys. It's going to happen. And they're going to blow her ass right on out of there if she is found to be guilty of everything that they're alleging. So I want to know what y'all think about it all. And please like the video if you like it, and follow if you want to see more content like this, guys, and more. You know, it's all good. It's all great stuff. So I appreciate y'all so much, and let me know, guys. It's a hot ass mess over here. I don't like it. I do not like it. But until next time, I'll see y'all later. Bye.
I just tell the truth, and telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies. If you mix brilliance with bravery, that we can ignite something. Even this conversation alone can ignite the people.
The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.